Happy New Year! Metal Mike here with Ryan, and we go over our rock and metal wish list for 2023 for albums, tours, and reunions we'd like to see. Some of them are a little far-fetched, but I think some might happen. Check it out. Well, Ryan, Happy New Year, man. How you doing?
Hey, Happy New Year, Mike. I appreciate it. I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Good, man. I'm excited. First episode of the 80's Glam Metalcast 2023. This is the year, man. The year of the Metalcast.
Yeah, dude, I agree. It's going to take off.
It's going to take off. This is the year that Sirius is just going to come knocking on my door, asking for a show, and I'll be ready for them.
Oh, dude, they would be honored to have it.
Well, I thought it would be perfect for 2023 to kind of put together maybe our wish list, some things that we'd like to see happen. They could be far-fetched. Maybe there's no way in hell that these things will ever happen. I know I've got a few on mine that could go either way. They might not happen, but they could possibly happen. So we'll see. How about your list? Have you got some crazy ones, or is it all pretty cut and dry?
Oh, man, I think there's some crazy stuff, too. A little bit of wish list, a little bit of potential. So, yeah, man, this is a cool one. I like it. It's perfect for the new year.
Yes.
I got no order to mine as well. It's just kind of just stuff that would be really awesome. So
Yeah.
I didn't rank it 1 to 12 per se, but it's 12 of them.
Nice. Well, man, all right. Without hesitation, let's jump in. What's your number 12 wish for your rock and metal wish for 2023?
All right, cool. Well, the first things first, it'd be really cool to have a Sunset Strip no-name tour. So that would be something like, a Lancia, a Paradise, kind of like Tough and Pretty Boy Floyd to headline to give it a little bit of name in there. I thought those two guys would be perfect for that. But, get those bands in there that really were awesome and killer, the Blackboard Jungles, et cetera, et cetera. There's so many out there that were so killer back in the day that you find to regroup once in a while, but have like at least a Pretty Boy Floyd or a Tough in there just to get some kind of headliner name to attract some more fans. But, dude, I'm telling you, man, these guys are fairly young still. They still got it in their pockets. They had successful Sunset Strip careers and albums back in the day. And it would just be so awesome to see them kind of group up one more time and go out in 2023 with a decent name, but more so just a bunch of no-names and just kill it. I think that'd be just awesome.
Nice. I like it, man. And, a lot come to mind. I think Pretty Boy Floyd and Tough would be good headliners. It'd be a nice one is Juliet. Throw them on there.
Oh, dude. I would pay whatever it takes to solely see Juliet. That album is amazing, and it throws you off because of the name and because the cover. But then you hear the disc, and you're like, "Holy moly, these guys rip!" So I'm right there with you. Perfect position. You name it, and those guys will be there.
All right. I'm going to just throw a disclaimer that a lot of mine are albums. I'm wishing for a lot of albums in 2023.
Okay.
And I think this one that I'm going to present is very feasible. And that's Pretty Boy Floyd new album. Because I want to say a couple years ago when I talked to Christy Majors, he said the Pretty Boy Floyd album is done. Steve just has to do his vocals. So, I feel like this thing should be ready to go. And I thought the Public Enemy's album had a lot of cool songs. I'd like to see where they're at today. So I'm kind of hoping for that new Pretty Boy Floyd album to surface this year.
It seems like Steve Summers has the energy to do that, and he's got the creativity and the faith for the scene, the old scene, to do that. I don't think that's too far-fetched at all. I think it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's just, nothing too crazy to start off with. I'm just starting off mild.
Oh,
but I'm hoping that Pretty Boy Floyd new album surfaces in 2023. So
it's a sign. Both number 12s have to do with Pretty Boy Floyd. I think it's got to happen now.
Oh, we're off to a real good start. All right. What's your 11?
All right, 11. Well, yesterday evening I got some pretty bad news about poor old Stevie James from Tiger Tails.
Yes.
not sure if you heard about that.
I did.
He had a stroke on December 23rd. So this has to do with him, and this list was compiled prior to hearing that news. So I wish him the best and a quick recovery. But what I had was a Tiger Tails, both Kim Hooker and Stevie James reunion tour.
Ooh.
And a lot of mine actually had to do with performing live. But I think it'd be great. Both singers have such a strong fan base. I love both albums. I do favor Berserk with Kim Hooker, but listening to a lot of the Jay Pepper interviews, he just kind of almost had it a little bit with touring, just because it's not very lucrative, and especially making an album is not very lucrative. But I feel like if they did put together a originals tour with the two original singers, then it would be financially successful, and the fans would really love it. And of course, I love the first two albums, as many fans do. So I think that would be awesome. I think it's feasible too.
Yeah, I'm right with you on that one. Oh, yes, definitely everybody, say a prayer for Stevie. I did message him the other day and just told him that I was thinking about him and I was going to be praying for him, and he gave me a thumbs up back. So, he must be doing okay, but I'm sure, once again, he's a fighter. He's a tough dude. He'll get through this, no problem. And he'll be rocking out again soon. And he rocked out a few months back. I want to say it was in October. He did a show. I'm not sure. Obviously, it was in England. I wasn't able to attend. But sounds like it went off pretty good. So he, hopefully he kind of gets back out there and does some stuff. Yeah, man, come on, a double bill, or not a double bill, but a bill with both those dudes on it. That'd be so cool. Probably won't ever happen because there's like a lot of bad blood. I think there's a lot of bad blood really between both Kim Hooker and Tiger Tails and Stevie James and Tiger Tails. Tiger Tails got a new singer. I think he sounds pretty good. So they're kind of going to be doing their own thing. So good for them. But yeah, man, I like, me. Come on, Tiger Tails. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, dude, totally. And there's another one where was it called Berserk 2.0, the one they released with Kim Hooker?
Yeah.
That song, Do It Up, that album, I mean, that was quality stuff, man. Like, if they could recreate some of the old magic, they did it on that album, they could do it live, just put that shit aside, dude. I think it'd be successful. But yeah, big time wish list there, right?
No, I like that one. That's an awesome one. I think this one will be no surprise. Number 11. So, as I've mentioned on the podcast, and I've probably most people know if you follow either of these two folks on Instagram or social media, you know that Michelangelo from Nitro is now the guitarist in Manowar. And I think that, it's cool. They're going to be doing some shows, and that's all fine and dandy. Once again, it's probably not going to come to America, so we'll just have to watch it on YouTube. But I'd like to see what these guys could do in the studio. So I'm kind of hoping for a Manowar album with Michelangelo on there. I don't think that's very far-fetched. Joey DeMaio has been sending out some images of him working on some new studio stuff. So I think this definitely is going to happen. If it will happen in 23, I don't know. But here's the little odd part that I'm going to throw on there that will never probably happen. But man, could you imagine if for one track we could get a duet with Eric Adams and Jim Gillette? Who's with me?
Oh, dude. That's some good stuff. See, this is what wish lists are all about.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I know I could get the Michelangelo and Manowar. I know that's probably going to come at some point. But man, if we could just get one track, get a scream fest with Adams and Gillette, I'd be a happy guy.
Dude, Michelangelo seems to be the perfect fit, especially to get back to the roots of what people really love about Manowar, because that dude, he's like a Steve Stevens. You look at him in 2023, and you look at him in 1993, and you're like, pretty much same clothes, same hair.
Yeah. You don't look much different, man.
Dude, those guys are very true to form.
And another thing, this is just a wish for Michelangelo, for him personally. I hope they make him some kind of insane dual guitar that's like an axe. What about if one was an axe and one was a sword or something, and he could play guitar on the two guitars or something like that, or do four? Do that four guitar thing and have some of them be axes and maces and swords. I mean, that'd be the most kick-ass metal thing that had ever existed. So that's just another side thing.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. That's a good idea.
And I just thought of that on the spot right now, that one. So
I like it.
All right, number 10.
All right, number 10. This one's going to throw you, dude. Let me explain. A Def Leppard Duran Duran tour package.
Ooh, no, I'm already in. I'm already liking it.
Okay, for some reason, it's going to piss a lot of the real hardcore Def Leppard fans off, but just hear me out. They were both the darlings of Britain in their poodle haircut 80s.
Yep.
And I'm saying, I'm thinking of more like the Princess Di era of like Duran Duran being just humongous there and Def Leppard being humongous, especially talking Pyromania and Rio phase for those two bands. But I know it sounds weird, but Duran Duran actually kind of rips on their instrumentation. I know they're obviously on the opposite end of Def Leppard for the most part. There's a lot of pop crossover, but for the most part, Def Leppard's hard rock and they're new wave pop. But I think especially if you did that overseas, it would probably be huge. Now, I understand Def Leppard's already booked up, but dude, it sounds weird, I know, but to me, it's just always been like a cool like mix of the darlings of Great Britain and their success and their songs, and I think it would make them both kind of rise to the occasion of like appealing to the fans. So it sounds weird. I've always thought about it, but I saw Duran Duran live once, and I've seen Def Leppard countless times, and I was very, very impressed with Duran Duran, and I think it'd actually be kind of a weird random fit.
Yeah. I'm totally on board with it. I like Duran Duran. As you know, I'm not a huge Def Leppard fan, but, I would definitely consider going to see Def Leppard. And if you had Duran Duran on there. Speaking of Duran Duran, excuse me, they just played the New Year's Eve show on TV, Ryan Seacrest New Year's Eve or whatever. So they just played, and they sounded great. So I think cool. Totally could picture it. It's kind of, they're building up some momentum. One weird thing is their keyboardist Nick Rhodes kind of looked like the Joker. He kind of had the Joker suit on, like the purple suit with the purple dress suit with the green shirt underneath. He kind of looked like the Joker, but I kind of was digging it. I'm a big Batman fan, so that stood out to me. But anyways, yeah, man, I think that sounds cool. Okay. I think it'd be successful.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. It's kind of weird, but I think it might work.
All right, so I got a little bit of a one that's probably never going to happen, but that's okay. I think Vito Bratta. All right, here we go. Vito Bratta.
Okay.
Got to come out of hiding. I know he did like a Guitar World interview last year. I didn't read it, but it seems like he got a little bit of press for that. And I think everybody just wants to hear this dude play one more time. Be cool if he did like something with Mike Tramp of kind of like where they are today, not necessarily doing something exactly like White Lion, but maybe a little more mature of a style. That's what Mike Tramp seems to gravitate to now. But even if he played a one-off on somebody's album, like just did a solo or something, I just think this guy needs to do one more thing, just to put one more thing out there. That's just my opinion. Love to see Vito Bratta just do something. I don't care what he does.
So I know you're not going to believe me, but my number 9 literally says, I'm looking at it right now, Vito Bratta makes a comeback in any form.
Great minds, man.
I'm not kidding you.
Great minds think alike.
I swear to God, dude. I am not kidding you. That's amazing that you have that there. And I totally agree. And I did read that interview, and it sounds like he went through a little bit of a rough patch, but he's kind of coming out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But, dude, he was like the second coming of Eddie Van Halen.
It was.
I know he kind of is probably sick of that comparison, but, I mean, obviously that's an enormous compliment to him. So, I don't know, man. I would just absolutely adore seeing him and Mike Tramp come back. And I don't give a crap if it's with a sit-down acoustic tour or a full White Lion. I don't know. Yeah, it would just be awesome. Like I said, in any form, that guy needs to come back to life.
Well, my number 9 can kind of piggyback off this one because there was another guy that was in hiding for many, 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 many years, and he came out of hiding. So So Vito can do it, and I'm talking about Vinnie Vincent. So Vinnie Vincent was incognito for like friggin' I don't know, it was almost 20 years, I think. Nobody heard anything from this guy except for when he that shit went down where he got arrested, whatever. I'm not going to get into that. But there was really nothing. Like he was a real enigma. And then in 2018, he kind of came back out and he said, I got all this material and I play guitar 8 hours a day and blah, 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 and nothing. We're 2023. We got nothing. Been a couple pictures and posts on Facebook that said there's going to be a new Vinnie Vincent Invasion album. People saying it sounds great. But it's a big mystery, and that's always what it's been with this guy. Nobody knows who the members are. Nobody knows, is this old stuff just re-recorded? Is it remixed old stuff? What is this? So he's been working on something for a while, and I'm ready to hear it. I want to see if Vinnie Vincent still has it, if he wrote some gems in those 20 years where he was, hiding out and stuff. So, yeah, man, I want to see Vinnie Vincent release some legit, real music on a CD that I can buy or listen to online or whatever it is. But I'm ready for some new Vinnie Vincent.
Oh, I saw that photo of him sitting in the studio with that producer.
Right, there you go.
And, it's exciting. I don't know if I'd buy it. I mean, everything he's done he's kind of flaked out of not most, but half the things. So it's hard to take. But obviously I'm on his side, dude. It's my favorite Kiss album is Lick It Up. And I love Vinnie Vincent Invasion with both singers. So to me, if he released anything, I would be very interested. And I would love to see what 25 years of songwriting would do for someone, because you got to come up with some good stuff in that period of time.
Yeah, really. So I'm with. Yeah, good, man. Awesome. I'm glad you're with me on that one.
Yeah.
What you got? Yeah. What you got for number 8?
Number 8. So this is kind of a two-parter. I want some 80s bands making new albums that are just back to what made you famous.
Yeah.
And I sound like a broken record, dude. Like, this is a very broad one in terms of my, disdain for new recordings or new studio albums from 80s bands, because they don't ever live up, short of a few of them.
Yeah.
But it would just be cool to see them, like, not sell out or not think they need to be so, quote-unquote, hardcore, because they're trying too hard. Just get back to what made you famous. And the second part of that, some really killer re-records would be nice. And I don't mean that in terms of just remastering an album or re-recording, Kicks Blow My Fuse from 1988 in 2020, so that you earn the rights back to it when you don't have the chops you did in 88.
Yep.
I'm talking about, so hear me out. So, the band Lion, Doug Aldrich's band Lion, he just, he adores that band. That's his baby. So if you look at Hurricane Live 1990 on YouTube, they're playing in Japan, and that's when Doug Aldrich was in Hurricane. He just left Lion. And the very last song of the show, they bring out some members of Lion, and they play the song Power Love by Lion, which is an absolute gem of a melodic rock, just ripper. But I will say this. I enjoy Cal Swan's voice for Lion, but Kelly Hansen absolutely destroys that song just in a good way, in my mind. So if anybody wants to kind of like feel what I'm putting out here, Kelly Hansen records the first and second Lion album. Never going to happen.
Never going to happen.
I wish list.
Hey, you gotta wish for something. Yeah. You gotta shoot big, man. Yeah. Go big.
I'm shooting for the stars on that one. And what I'm saying is the proof is there, dude. Like, Kelly Hansen's amazing in the first place, and someone could say, "Screw you." The dude from Lion did it better in the first place, and to each their own. I just happen to think that Kelly Hansen's got a killer voice. Same going with Johnny Jolie from Hardline, re-recording the Brunette album. That was terrible production, but released. And then, in terms of anyone re-recording Udo's solo albums, please, someone record any vocalist recorded solo albums from the 80s because the musicianship behind it's amazing, but I just can't
deal with the voice.
So, it's those re-records and it's those new releases that just need to hark back just to what got you there. So, I kind of rolled two into one, but, they relate enough where I can make it one.
Well, my 8 is like oddly kind of similar because it's a band that I want to get back true to form. And it's been mentioned in some interviews. I think my buddy Chuck Shute interviewed John Norum, and he expressed a feeling that he'd like to do a true to form Europe album. But I don't know if any of the other bandmates are on board with that. I don't know. But I would like to hear, and you and I have talked about this before, I would like to hear Europe back with a true to form album. And if we're going to really just go for crazy stuff, let's just say dual guitars. We're going to throw Key Marcello back in there with John Norum. So yeah, give me a true album. Those guys are both cool. I like them both. So let's keep those guys together and let's do a new Europe album.
No, Mike, get out of my head. My number 7 is Europe back with Key and Norum and play a killer set. Is exactly what I said.
Oh man, I swear we did not know each other's lists, everybody. I swear.
This was not planned. No joke, dude. That's exactly what I have. And you took it a step further, and you said record a great album, and I agree. Obviously, the last few have touched more on the hard rock, or kind of like, I don't know, Sad Wings of Destiny, first album, harking back type stuff. Oh, it's just too hard, We need to, it's just the beginning, let the good times rock, Ready or Not, Cherokee. We need those songs. Those are hard rock Europe. You know what I mean? Those are the songs that we love. We need the Talk to Me's and Halfway to Heaven. So I agree. And even if they started with kind of similar to the Tiger Tails one, Key and Norum just getting back and doing a dual guitar tour, or they come out on their separate songs, or whatever they want to do, and at the end play together. I don't care. Mm-hmm. I would, but I'm right there with you, dude. Perfect.
That's awesome, man. Awesome. All right, another one that won't surprise everybody. I feel like what I've done with my list is a lot of it. It's all stuff that would appear on my list of every year we talk about music. Like these are all the same people that I talk about all the time. Okay, I want to see, for my number 7, I want to see Mike Viscera get back with Loudness, okay? But not do it under the name Loudness and record something under the name Soldier of Fortune. Now, they played Loud Park, I want to say, I don't know how many years. It was 3 years ago, 4 years ago. They played Loud Park as Soldier of Fortune with Viscera singing, and they played the majority of the, On the Prowl and the Soldier of Fortune albums. Yeah. So I think, and that was cool. It wasn't bad. But I think it would be better to do a studio recording of some new stuff because Viscera's great. He could really beef up the backgrounds and vocals and everything if he does it in the studio. And man, I'm just everybody knows I'm a big fan of Soldier of Fortune, and I like On the Prowl as well. So I just would like to see that lineup. I think him and Akira are just great together, and I just want to hear them record one more time. So that's my 7.
Oh, dude, that would be amazing. And kind of, thanks to you, I've obviously always known Loudness, but I really got back into upon your suggestion. And dude, I couldn't agree more. That would be epic. Did you see that they have some shows in the United States with the original band? I don't know who the original guys are, but
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I have seen that. Yep. So that'd be cool. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean the Viscera thing would be killer, of course, but anything with that guy's name on it or fronting a band is something that I'd sign up for immediately.
Yep, definitely. All right, man. Number 6.
All right. So this one's a little more mellow. This is just the streaming. So if we could just get those fights with the labels settled, again, major wish list beyond, way beyond my job description. But the streaming of bands like Keel, House of Lords, Jeff Paris, Crocus, Leatherwolf, Fifth Angel, MSG, Victory, Scorpions, like all these bands that are like, dude, I miss listening to those albums. I have a CD player in my truck, but how often do I drive my truck? back and forth to work, so I get to pop in a Victory CD here and there. But really, it's just so much more convenient in 2023 to stream things. And all these bands have these great albums that people are missing out on. I understand that, like the Badlands comparison and the Badlands interview that you had.
Yeah.
There's, or was it a buddy that you were talking to? I think maybe both. Badlands had a potential issue with a record company, so they're kind of like stopping them from capitalizing on their albums and not having them on Spotify and Apple or whatnot.
Yep.
But anyway, just the streaming of everything, because at this point, face it, people have their phones on them at all times. You got earbuds, this and that. You can walk around streaming things, and I find a lot of great stuff on Spotify. But there's a few stuff for the deep listener, the big time fan that you're missing those key albums.
Yep. Yeah, you hit it on the head. And here's the crazy thing about Keel. So Keel's a perfect example. For the longest time, I want to say every Keel album except for Larger Than Live was on Spotify. So the other day, I was in the mood to listen to one of my favorites, Keel 1987. I go to Spotify and I'm like, what the fuck? It's gone. You know what I mean? And I was like, it drove me crazy. So... And then Final Frontier was gone as well. So I'm like, are you kidding me? So I can listen to it over on YouTube. And like I said, I think I had those on cassette. Well, once again, I mean, I don't have a cassette player in the car anymore. Darn, I enjoyed that. Yeah. But sometimes you're just chilling I'm chilling on the iPad and I just want to stream something quick. But I don't know. And here's the thing, man. All right, for Scorpions, all right, that's a little different. They're a bigger group. If they've got some holes in the catalog, that would be, that's kind of surprising. But no offense to like Keel and Leatherwolf, is there like a big battle over these albums? What's the problem? You know what I mean? Like I'm sorry, in the scheme of things, who really cares? Like, why can't this be out there? Like, what is the big problem? So, yeah, I don't understand that, but it definitely irritated me. But, yeah, it is what it is.
Well, yeah, exactly. And as for the Scorpions, it's just that album Pure Instinct from 96, I think.
Oh, that's probably best.
Have it on there.
That's probably best if that stays off there. That's when they really started to suck. I'm sorry. Okay. Well, number 6. This one is, I don't know. We'll see. I'll throw it out there and see what everybody thinks. But all right, Michael Kelly Smith seems to be active on Facebook. And yes, I'm actively trying to get him on the Metalcast. But he seems to be posting some stuff on Facebook. That's a good sign. So I'd like to see Michael Kelly Smith do something, maybe get something going with Brittany Fox. Brittany Fox is a strange creature because right now Billy Childs is doing his own version of Brittany Fox that includes no original members but him. And it feels like Johnny D always wants to do something, but he's busy with Doro. I think he's playing with Taiketo right now, so he's got some stuff going on. Michael Kelly Smith is kind of like one of those Vito Bratta guys where he's just kind of incognito. And then we got the strange case of Dizzy Dean, who's pretty much does not want anything to do with Brittany Fox. He's completely done with all that stuff. But money talks. Bullshit walks. Maybe something could happen. I don't know how much money there is out there for a Brittany Fox reunion, but hey, man, I'd like to see it. Hey, Tommy Paris, maybe. I know he's kind of he's kind of set with some of the Brittany Fox stuff, so who knows? But I'd like to see Michael Kelly Smith do something. He's a cool guy.
Dude, if you can get Dokken with 6 figures in some Wisconsin show and make a live album out of it, you can get Brittany Fox out of it, dude. At least these guys can sing and play still.
Yeah.
I mean, George Lynch can, but poor Don.
Take it over to Japan. Take it to Japan, man. That's what Ted Poley's like. If we're ever needed some money, we just take the thing over to Japan. We make some cash. So.
Oh, you don't want to play a Subway grand opening?
But the food is probably good, So. Oh, man. What do you got for 5?
All right, so I got a deep tracks half of the show with the idols of your choice, and let me explain here. So you got Motley, AC/DC, Poison, Europe, Def Leppard. You got these bands that have these albums that are they're successful, but they're not the hits. Let's just say.
Yep.
So for Motley, you want to hear like, Louder Than Hell. You want to hear Knock 'Em Dead Kid. You want to hear, you want to hear something off Dr. Feelgood, like As She Goes Down, or, et cetera, et cetera. AC/DC's got the 80s albums they never play. Poison's got the Flesh and Blood stuff I love. Europe, I saw Europe live, like, I don't know, how long ago was it? 8 years ago probably, and they played like 3 songs that I thought were killer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in terms of, and Joe Elliott discussed this years ago. He talked about it with Def Leppard. There's all these fans that are always shouting about, play songs off the first album, play Action Not Words, play Don't Shoot Shotgun, this and that. And he goes, dude, there's about 6 people in the crowd that want to hear that. There's 20,000 in the crowd that want to hear Pour Some Sugar on Me. So I understand business-wise, AC/DC and Motley's got to play the hits. But if you could just do maybe even like a smaller venue in between stadium shows, or like Def Leppard did, they had the band Dead Flatbird open for Def Leppard in Vegas when I saw them, and they played a bunch of the random songs that people really, really like, that are deep, big-time fans like me. But this spawned because I was thinking about Motley and AC/DC mostly. Like, I love 80s AC/DC. Fly on the Wall from 1985 is like my Brian Johnson #1. And I'm in the minority. I understand that. But God, would I love to hear like Shake Your Foundations or Fly on the Wall. But 80% of the crowd wouldn't know what it was. So I understand that. But even if there was like some fan interaction where there was messages out there on their Facebooks and Instagrams of, okay, we're going to play the hits, but what are the deep tracks you want to hear? And people write in and submit their, their Who Made Who's and their Blow Up Your Video album songs and this and that. And they choose a few of those songs, and it makes a few of us really happy. So I would just sum it all up with saying a deep tracks half of the show or separate show, whatever you want to say, just to appease the diehards like myself.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And Kiss says the same thing. Paul Stanley will say, "Oh, we play that. That's when people go take a pee or something." They say that kind of stuff all the time. Yeah. So, but here's the point I want to make about this. They can all say, "Oh, these fans that are at the show, they just want to hear the hits. They're not crazy. Not all the fans are diehards." But you gotta show some lip service to the diehards, because who's been there the whole time? You know what I mean? Or who's been there for the past 30 years? Not the casual fan that's got the greatest hits. The one that likes to listen to Generation Swine or whatever. That's somebody who's been with you through thick and thin. You know what I mean? I get it. You don't need to fill your set with Gen Swine and New Tattoo and all that kind of stuff. But nothing would be no problem to do a quick medley and throw a couple rare ones in just to kind of break it up and do something nice for the fans. So yeah, I'm with you, man. With you 100%.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Just a medley of those. Can you imagine Motley going through and just hitting 2 songs per the 80s albums and just cranking them out real quick, even a half a song, and making it like a 8-minute part of the set? It would end up being probably the best part of the show.
Yeah,
to be honest, like, it'd be freaking killer. So
I agree.
I would highly suggest that these bands take a listen to this and give it a shot. I mean, there's some songs out there that are fantastic that are highly neglected.
All right, my number 5. This one wasn't even on my list until yesterday, and I had to shuffle some stuff around because I totally just spaced out and forgot about this. But I was on Instagram. I saw a post from Chris Caffery from Savatage, and he had said that he got a record mailed to him. I think it was the last Savatage album, Poets and Madmen, and he kind of alluded to, it'd be really great if we did another album, and then I was feeling nostalgic a couple nights back. Maybe it was right when the new year turned over here, and I was listening to some old interviews that I did, and I listened to a lot of the one with John Oliva from Savatage, and at the end he's like, maybe there's gonna be a Sava record. He says at the end, and that was 2021, and now we're in 2023. So it's like, okay, man, like, people keep throwing out these hints. Like, could this happen? I personally think this would be a big seller. And here's the thing that I don't really understand anymore is because I think you can make music cheaper than you ever could in the studio. I'm not saying that it might not be the exact same quality as that you did in the 90s or the 80s, but I think you could do something pretty decent, on computers and things like that. To manufacture a CD or a record also does not cost that much either. So even if a band like Sabotage or anybody who wanted to get something out there pretty much handle it themselves through their own independent label, I think there's a ton of money to be made on this stuff, especially with crowdfunding. Yeah. And if you sold autographed ones and ones with posters, dude, you could make a shitload. So I'm tired, and not Sabotage doesn't say this, but a lot of bands do. There's no money in music, and we're not going to put it out there. But my counter argument to that will be, why the hell did you get into music in the first place? Was it just for money? Okay, then you should quit and go get involved with the stock market or something. Not that there's that much money in that right now, but you know what I mean? Like, why did you do this? Like, didn't you just do this for the love of music? So I'm tired in general, I guess as a blanket statement, I'm tired of hearing there's no money in music. I guarantee there's a way to make money, but you can't do it the old way. You can't, it ain't 1989, okay? There's no label that's going to give you millions of dollars to make an album, and you're not going to be on The Tonight Show and on MTV. Well, here we are recording again, a continuation. We had a little bit of a problem last night. The recording device stopped. I don't know if Eddie Trunk said an electro burst when he heard me earlier talk about how Metalcast needs to be on Sirius. Something happened, man. I don't know what the hell happened.
It had to be that. Blame it on the weather. How about that?
Yeah. Hey, you know what, man? I'll blame it on the rain, like Milli Vanilli.
Who?
Okay, so I think from I listened to where I was at. I was just going through a tirade about how artists, they're only in it for the money, a lot of them, and they won't make a new record because they say there's no money in it. And I don't agree with that concept. I'm still standing by what I said, but in the realm of Sabotage, I wasn't aiming that at them, because with Sabotage, they've really been an inactive band in a lot of ways. So for them to come out with a new reunion album would be super cool, man. You get John Oliva, Zach Stevens, Doc Wackles, Chris Cafferty, Al Petrelli, Jeff Plate, get all the guys who are still living and active. Oh, I forgot Johnny Lee Middleton on bass. So get all those dudes together, do that reunion album, man. I'm in. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude, I think it would be lucrative for them, actually. I think it'd be an awesome thing, and especially if they all came together having the momentum of TSO. That'd be cool, dude.
Yeah.
I'm on board with that one.
Let's hear your number 4 again.
All right, hey, no problem, dude. All right, number 4 was a Rat reunion with Piercy, Warren, Blotz, Juan, and maybe Jakey Lee.
Ooh.
So you got pretty much the original guys. You got Jake from the Mickey Rat days. You got the 4 original other dudes they have the Rat swing. It's in Blotzer, and you got Warren bopping around. Piercy's looking good these days. He's sounding good. At one point, I was thinking he was going down the line of Don Dokken and Vince Neil in terms of his live performance, but he's making it happen. I mean, you watch the YouTube videos, he sounds pretty damn good. The other idea I had, and this started when Malcolm Young died and AC/DC still wanted to go out on tour, I was thinking how thrilled a guest guitarist per city would be. And I think that would probably hold true with keeping up Robin's legacy and Rat, and you'd have a lot of really probably quality, respected guitar players that would love to join Rat for a night, depending on what city they're in. Line it all up before the tour starts and have that be a little carrot dangling for the fans of, hey, we got Joe Satriani playing Robin's parts tonight, or Carlos Cavazo or someone like that, So I think that'd be another little cool attention grabber, but, having the Jakey Lee name in there wouldn't be so damn bad either.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea, having Jakey Lee with Rat. I mean, that sounds killer. And let's face it, man, Rat, the majority of the guys, main guys, are still alive. We're running out of time with a lot of this stuff. You know what I mean? It could get to the point where somebody, God forbid, somebody gets sick or something happens. So if they're going to do it, they probably want to act on it. I think they should act on it in 23, man. If that's your wish, I say, may your wish be granted. Let's hear it, man. Rat reunion. Let's go.
I like it.
All right. Well, my number 4, it's somebody I'm always talking about. So. No big shock here. Yngwie. I want Yngwie to come out. I want him to get a real singer. He had his time now. He's done his instrumental stuff, and he's sang the blues, and he's done some of the vocals, and that's cool. Hopefully he got it out of his system. But this year, I'd like to see him get back to the roots, man. Do an old school album, something like Trilogy, Odyssey, Eclipse, something in that vein. And I'm not saying he's got to get back Joe Lynn Turner. He's got to get back Jeff Scott Soto or any of those guys. He doesn't have to. But he's got to get somebody of that caliber. You know what I mean? And really focus on the songs, because that's the thing I like about him. I know a lot of people love his guitar playing. A lot of guitar nerds like Yngwie, but I just dig those songs. And when it's a killer band like the Johanssons in there and all the killer singers, and Yngwie obviously is a great musician, but that's what I'm looking for. I want Yngwie to come back, get true to form, do kind of like an old school kind of album that he's known for, and just do it, man. I'm ready.
Yeah. I got to credit you for getting me re-engaged in my Yngwie love. I've been cranking the 80's albums, and mostly Eclipse, Fire and Ice, and the one with Matt Levin singing, like, dude, is it Face the Animal? Or Facing the Animal, is that what it's called? Yeah, that, well, of course, and the Sarah stuff, but I've kind of always liked it like that. But I totally agree, because Yngwie's most solid songs aren't the guitar virtuoso songs, they're the teasers, and Bedroom Eyes, and Making Love, and all those great songs, dude. Like, those are the ones that hooked me, and those are the ones that I can't get enough of. I wake up singing those songs, man. So I couldn't agree more. That would be a very wise choice by that dude.
Yeah. But hey, if they could bury the hatchet and do like an album where like all the old school guys come back for like one track. Because if you go back to his catalog, he did Inspirations, and that was all covers of like people that he was into. Like he did Kansas, and he did a lot of Deep Purple and all that kind of stuff. Rush. He did a lot of different interesting stuff. And like Joe Lynn is on it. Jeff Scott Soto. I think Mark Bowles is on it. I haven't listened to it in a long time. And I'll be honest, I've never really been super into that album because they are covers. Some of them are cool, but a whole album of covers sometimes, it's hit or miss. But he did kind of rekindle the relationships with a lot of those guys, so it could happen again, man. Like we've said before, money talks, so if there was some money involved, I think people would jump at it.
Well, he could sell a few Jaguars. It'd be fine.
All right, man. What's your number 3?
All right, number 3. I got Shadow King. I got them coming out with their cutting room floor material. It's rumored to be out there. So I've talked about Shadow King a few times, man. Like, this is one of those bands that came out at the wrong time, but they had Lou Gramm, they had Vivian Campbell. I mean, they had the stars in the band, and the album was very solid. Killer hard rock album with Lou Gramm on vocals. Because Foreigner tends to be a little bit poppy at times, and this definitely wasn't. And it showcased his hard rock qualities. It was amazing. I have heard a couple interviews with Lou Gramm, and he talks about Shadow King very fondly, and he believes the same as we do that album should have been huge, and thinks very highly of it. And he does have unreleased material that was fully recorded and produced that just didn't make the cut. So if that could never see the light of day, dude, sign me up. I'll pay whatever it takes to hear that shit. That's going to be some quality music.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about Shadow King on the 1991 episode, and I think it's a great album. It was a late discovery. I remember probably just a few years back, I got a hold of the cassette, and I'll admit I had a car that had a cassette player, and I was jamming on that, and it was so cool. I think sometimes when you get those guys that have the killer voice, and put them into like a little bit of a heavier realm than they're used to. Not that Shadow King is like super heavy, but it's definitely a little bit heavier than Foreigner. And it works, man. His voice worked, and the stuff that Vivian Campbell was doing really worked. And yeah, it was bad timing. If that would have came out, and look, we've said this a lot of times too. If that was 1988 or maybe even in 1990, it could have fared a little bit better. But 91 is a strange creature of a year, and it didn't pan out. But if there's some rejects or leftovers hanging around, I would definitely like to hear them.
Well, yeah, and then I was listening to that Eddie Trunk interview recently, and Lou Gramm was saying that the record company intentionally didn't promote that album to force him back into the money-making Foreigner, which is probably a huge reason why that album didn't do anything. So I know it's a shame, but money talks.
Well, that's funny that you say that, because I just put out a episode, and this isn't shameless promotion here, but I put an episode out on Spotify, and some of it had been on YouTube before, about 1991. It just was showing all the guys were talking about what happened to their careers in that year and everything. And the thing that stands out with you just saying that is Bill Leverty from Firehouse. So they were making the album in 91, and then by 92 it came out, and it was that at that point it had totally changed over. And he explained how Columbia, their new bread and butter was Pearl Jam, not Firehouse. So they were told when they put out that album, Hold Your Fire, they said, we're not going to put much money into this. I think the way he worded it, I think they said they weren't going to put any money into it to really promote it. So it's funny that you say that. Something, now that you make there's a couple of valid points to think about. Did they just want to force Foreigner to get back together? And also, was it just like, well, grunge is out now, this really isn't going to fare very well, so, good luck. I feel like that's what they did to a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. Without being there, it's pretty easy to tell that that's probably exactly what happened.
Yeah, for sure. Well, number 3, my favorite band, but not always good news that I spread on here. And for number 3, I want Kiss to end, man. Officially retire. Do what was promised. Now, I'll be honest. Hey, I saw the farewell tour in 2000, and it's still going, right? The farewell tour is still going today. Yeah. No, I get it. They decided they wanted to come back, and sometimes they rationalize, well, that was just a farewell to Ace and Peter. I don't buy into that bullshit. It was, it's a money game. And right now, they've kind of hit some roadblocks. Okay, so the tour started in 19, and then COVID came in 20, and it kind of sidelined this tour for probably a year and a half at least. But now we're getting to the point where a tour that started in 19, it really should be wrapping up by 2023, in my opinion. And, there's so much controversy that surrounds this tour because it is rumored that Paul does not sing all the songs, and that it's piped in vocals from and he's lip syncing it, and there's been different videos that show times where he messes up and he's not in front of the mic or whatever. So I'll give him a pass in some respects that you're getting older, you can't do what you need to do, we got to do one more proper send off. But I just don't want to see this thing drag out for another 2 years. Well, there was a spot in Ohio that we didn't get to go to, so we're going. I just don't want to hear this bullshit of we missed this place. We got to go over here. So just end it. And one thing I want to mention is I really feel that Kiss was in a kind of an interesting place. Pre-reunion in 1995. They were celebrating their history. They did the convention tour. They were playing acoustically, playing a lot of deep tracks. And that's something that came up earlier in the podcast. We talk about deep tracks. And that was something that Kiss kind of catered to around. If you listen to the Unplug album, that's pretty much all deep tracks until you get to the few reunion songs that come in at the end. But I thought that was a cool era. And I think that's an era that Kiss could probably relive. If they got back to it, let's let the 70s makeup, let's put that thing to rest with this end of the road tour. And then if we want to do some specialty box sets or do some acoustical shows or convention tours, I'm totally on board with that. But I think being 72 and pretending that you try to act like you're 25, It's not feasible.
Yeah.
Sometimes it comes across to some as kind of weird. And, look at, man, God bless them. For their age, they do incredible stuff. I'm not trying to knock them, but even themselves in 2000 it said they don't want to be that band that stayed at the party too long. And if you're piping in vocals because you can't sing, you probably, chances are that means you've stayed at the party a little bit too long. So I think let's end it and move on and do some different kinds of things. And one thing I remember from last night with the original chat, you asked me about what I thought about, a Kiss or any of these bands kind of continuing with minimal members or any of that kind of stuff, and I don't really want to see that. I don't want to see Gene and Paul be replaced with some other dudes. I don't want to see 4 young guys wear their old costumes and try to recreate 1977. I don't want to see that either. There's a lot of awesome tribute bands out there. Let them take care of that. I probably wouldn't be opposed to taking the Kiss idea and bringing it to a new era. And real quick, I'll give this as an example. Okay. Everybody knows what the Incredible Hulk looked like in 1970s and early 80s when he was on TV, right? With Lou Ferrigno. It was a guy that was painted up green, okay, and he wore a green wig. And in the 70s and 80s, that was pretty cool. But if you put that up against what we're dealing with today, not really that cool. So, like, when you look at Marvel movies, Marvel's done a really good job of bringing, their product into the new era. So I think if you could somehow bring Kiss, take that concept and maybe modernize it, make it a little bit more edgy and scarier like it used to be in the 70s when people thought, Gene was drinking blood and killing chickens and whatever weirdness they thought was happening. Same thing with Alice Cooper. We all know now, Ozzy, all these guys. We know who they are. We know they're pretty, laid back dudes. But if we could do something with Kiss and kind of bring it to the new era and also maybe make it a little bit edgier and kind of dangerous, I would be down with seeing something like that. So my Kiss tirade is over.
No, and that is something that both Nikki Sixx and Gene Simmons talked about at one point, is that it was, do we carry on the name and let the process take its course, and one member is remaining, and there's 3 non-original, obviously, and that last member fades away, and you got 4 guys that never had anything to do with the original Kiss, and they're carrying on as Kiss.
Yeah.
And that was something Gene wanted to see happen.
Yeah.
And Nikki's talked about it too, and here we are with Eric Singer and Tommy Thayer, and here we are with John Five.
Yep.
Mick is still with us, thank God, but he obviously can't continue on tour. Hopefully, if they make a new album, Mick's involved. But that's a little different. The rest of the guys in Motley are still relatively young-ish and in good health. So it's a tough one because there's a lot of people out there that would probably be stoked to have their kids and their grandkids at this point see Kiss or Motley, regardless of who the people are, as long as they look and sound the part. But for diehards such as yourself and me for Motley, I think it would be kind of a disservice. So it'd be a very mixed bag of people in the crowd. So I'm right there with you. It's a tough one.
It is.
And reunion tour-wise, I think The Who started their reunion tour the year I was born in 1981, and they're still at it too.
Look, while you were talking, I thought of one more thought, and here I'll play devil's advocate against what we both just said. So two bands come to mind. Foreigner with Kelly Hansen and Journey with Arnell, and those guys both really kick ass, and I don't know if the original guys could really pull off what those guys do. You know what I mean? So I don't know, and I think it's pretty it's still marketable and believable with these other guys in there. So I don't know. I guess I'd have to see it to really make a final determination on it.
Well, it's interesting because I thought of Foreigner when you said that, and I'm glad you brought it up. So Mick Jones only comes out for a couple songs per night. So Mick, Forerunner is doing exactly what we're talking about right now and executing it.
Mm-hmm.
They're still playing big shows. I mean, what they opened for, wasn't it Journey, Def Leppard, or whatever that? It was a stadium tour. So there's Foreigner out there being Foreigner with Kelly Hansen and Jeff Pilson, et cetera, et cetera. And there's no one from the original band other than Mick playing a couple songs. Mm-hmm. So they're kind of executing it, but let's be honest, short of Lou Gramm and Mick Jones, I can't name another member of Foreigner, and I'm pretty good on my members of bands from that era. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, exactly. All right, man. So this would be your number 2. What's your number 2 wish?
Yep, my number 2 is similar to yours. It's my main men in AC/DC. I would love to see a 50th anniversary tour for AC/DC because they came out with Power Up in the height of COVID and obviously didn't tour. And Brian Johnson is back in the band, and they had Brian coming out on some tribute shows, that Taylor Hawkins show he played.
Yep.
And he sounded good. He's never going to be, nor anybody will be, the Brian Johnson of 1980, recording the soaring vocals of Back in Black and listening to Hell's Bells go up and up and up and up, and you go, holy shit, this guy's never going to hit the top of his range. No one can do that again. He won't do it again ever, especially. But if AC/DC come out one more time, and I believe that this should be their farewell tour, if it occurs, and here's me being the biggest fan, I think it's time. The guys are in their 70s, and it's probably time to hang it up. I think Brian Johnson could pull it off. I know Angus could pull it off, and the rest of the fellas. But I'd love to see it, and it would be massive, and it would be stadiums, and I'd definitely be there. So one more go-round for these fellas, and I think we call it a day and remember the good old times.
Yeah, I definitely think AC/DC's got to do a 50th and just do it one more time, go out big, go out on top. And then, maybe Angus can put on some pants instead of some little schoolboy shorts. He can retire the schoolboy shorts, put some pants on.
My wife's got some self-tanner that he might want to invest in.
All right, so number 2. And this is one where the guys, they're alive and kicking. They just went out on tour last summer and really wowed a lot of people and turned a lot of heads, man. And it's Poison. We need one more high-quality, legit Poison album. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Holly Weird and Power to the People, or whatever the hell it's called, just wasn't cutting it, man. It was not up to par with what Poison's all about. We need, good production, real producers, and we need to come up with something that shoots in the middle, kind of has elements of Look What the Cat Dragged In, Flesh and Blood, Open Up and Say Out, all those kind of morphed into one. Might want to stay away from Native Tongue. I like it, but I don't think it's what they're known for. But yeah, I think that we need one more real high quality Poison album. Nothing against what Brett does on his own. I know he does fairly well as a solo artist, but there's just something about Poison, man. It's a cool dynamic. Everybody knows all the guys, and just one more cool Poison album.
Dude, yeah, that'd be killer. And then listening to recent interviews, Brett, those guys have all put their troubles behind them in terms of their personal relationships, and they seem to be getting along really well. They had a wonderful time on tour, and they played great. They sounded great, and they stole the show on many occasions. On many stops, they stole the show. And here's me being a massive Def Leppard and Motley fan saying that, and Poison, of course, as well. But I think it'd be killer, dude, if they could hark back to like when we were talking about So Tell Me Why.
Yeah.
You got a song like that was, I wouldn't say updated for today's standards, but in 91, that was a little bit more forward-thinking song for Poison, but it was still killer with that catchy as shit bridge.
Yes.
And they could use that formula that like Van Halen used when they did Human Beings, because they came out and they had this updated sound from their typical Van Halen after the Balance tour, and they came out with Human Beings. People were like, oh shit, this is a really good direction for Van Halen.
Yep.
And that's the same thing Poison could do. They could use that and be like, all right, let's stick with the people that made us huge, appease them with just a hint of update, just a little bit, just sprinkle it in there. But give me that Flesh and Blood, give me the Ball and Chain, give me the Love on the Rocks, but just spruce it up a bit, make it 2023. I think it'd be great. I think Brett's busy this year with that Party Draw thing, which is a mixed bag of artists. Could be cool, I don't know. But I think I'm behind it. That'd be great.
All right, man. What is your final wish for 2023?
All right. My final wish is for bands to finally release pro shot footage from the back in the day that I know exists but isn't officially out. So let me explain. So my first example would be the Texas Jam 1986. You had Teal, Dio, Crocus, DTO. I think Poison was 86 or 87 because they were with Aerosmith that year. But you see all these MTV commercials with several cameras professionally shot promoting this show. You have live albums by Crocus released from this very show, and it's not out there. And that's actually how I started looking this up, because I wanted to see the footage of the album called Alive and Screaming that came out in 86. And I said, oh, it's from the Texas Jam 86. Oh, cool. I bet it's out there somewhere. So I scoured YouTube. Wasn't there. Oh, I see these videos, promotions, commercials, MTV, boom, pro shot stuff showing Dio and Keel and Crocus and these bands and this high quality camera work. And I go, oh, it's got to be there somewhere. So I sent it out there to the singer for Crocus, and he basically responded on Facebook and just said, dude, if you can find it, you let me know. I don't know where it is. So I emailed Ron Keel, and I never heard back. But that was
he lost his right to rock with that one. He lost it.
Well, yes, exactly. So so there's that. But then what really got me thinking on this was if it's out there, if we could see some early Motley Crue, every album professionally shot from Shout, Theater, Girls, Feel Good, Decade of Decadence on, of an entire set, opening for Ozzy, playing headline arenas. There's got to be pro shot footage out there that they could put out and make it an official release, whether it be digital form or DVDs, a little bit older, whatever now. But I'm just saying, dude, if you could have that, I'd pay for it. And even better would be behind the scenes studio footage. I mean, dude, I'd pay $100 to see an hour of behind the scenes studio footage from Shout at the Devil. I mean, can you imagine how killer that would be? So just saying, man, that would be some cool stuff to come out this year.
All right, I got like a ton of thoughts about all this. I got to try to condense it. Okay, thought number one. Okay, Kiss did a really good job with this quite a few years ago. They did Kissology, and they put out all their stuff pro shot. And a lot of people had a lot of this stuff as bootlegs, and a lot of us collectors thought, well, this is it, man. There is nothing else out there. But there are things out there. And earlier in, or actually maybe toward the end of 2022, there was this guy called Sam Loomis, and he kind of exposed this trading ring of bootleggers out there who basically people were buying this stuff but keeping it to themselves, and there was probably a lot of money involved, and he kind of exposed that scene, and he put out the stuff, and it didn't last long. It got pulled from YouTube and everything, but it gave us this kind of hope as fans, especially as Kiss fans. It's like, wow, there is more stuff than what we thought, and it probably exists for Motley Crue and some others as well. All right, so thought number two. This one's, I didn't think about this last night. I think I did, but I didn't say it. Okay, so I was going down the Queen wormhole for a while, and I got watching some of their shows. Their final tour with Freddie was Kind of Magic tour in '86. Wembley is on video. I think Budapest is on video. But there's this other show that people, and I don't remember, maybe Nebworth. I think it's Nebworth. Okay. Everybody says that this was the best they were ever on this tour. And what happened was, and this is where I'm going with the Texas Jam thing. A lot of these things were being filmed pro shot and getting fed through the video screens. Okay. So what was happening, though, at the time is nobody ever thought to save this stuff. So either it wasn't even being recorded at all, or it just got shit canned after the show. And somebody, I was digging, like I said, I was really going down the wormhole, and somebody actually had a camcorder and recorded the screen off from that Nebworth show. And it was really cool. Oh, wow. But once again, the quality was a little bit lacking. So that in some cases when these things were shot and there was video feeding through the screens, this may or may not be recorded. And then thought three, right, is this crap could be in some little small shitty television station somewhere in Bumbleweed, friggin' Texas, or so, you know what I mean? Like, this stuff could be archived somewhere, and the people at the station don't think anything of it, or they don't even know. So I guess back to the original thought is that you never give up hope. This stuff could get unearthed, and it'll be freaking wild when it does. So
yeah, and it's like, how long could you be keeping this in your back pocket? Like, if you're Nikki Sixx and you're going, okay, just hold on a couple more years and we're going to release the Shout video. It's like, no, dude, but it would be out by now. So I think you're hitting it on the head with maybe they don't even know it exists. And in terms of, like, Shout at the Devil Studio, dude, I mean, first of all, again, it would be epic to see, but did they even have a video camera rolling around? Did they even give a shit? Was it even invented to the point where they could hold it and video one another? You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
So it would just be awesome to see, obviously, because let's face it, that there was probably the best and most amount of debauchery going on at that time, and it would be so cool to see.
Dude, if they're going to do it should be done this year, because if you think about it, they're never going to get any higher in popularity than they are right now. You know what I mean? I think it's all downhill from here. So they got lucky. When they released The Dirt and that thing exploded, there was a resurgence of Motley Crue. This tour broke records, so people are still interested. But, you know, it could kind of dwindle back to maybe where it was before The Dirt, where, you know, there's a lot of Crue fans, but it's not on younger kids' minds and back in the minds of people who saw them back in the day. They really captured everybody's attention, and I don't know how long that's going to last. So
exactly.
All right. Well, speaking of Motley Crue, my number one is I'm like a broken record, right? All I want is a new true to form record, and I want one for Motley Crue. Just one more.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like we've had, you know, almost like, I feel like in some respects the 6 a.m. vibes like kind of bleed into Motley Crue's music. Like when you listen to some of the singles and maybe even parts of Saints of Los Angeles, I feel like there's a foreign sound in there that doesn't belong. And I think it's because he wrote those songs with, didn't he write them with some of them with one of the guys from 6 a.m.? I don't know. I'll have to look at the songwriting credits, but I think I'm right. And, you know, there's rumors that DJ Ashba played all the rhythms and everything on that album. So let's just cut through the bullshit. Let's do like a straight up album that pretty much is in the vein of Too Fast to Dr. Feelgood, somewhere that, you know, that covers all that. Motley Crue has tried this. I think they tried this with New Tattoo, and it came with mixed results. I like some of it, and some of it I don't like. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but I would really like to hear Motley Crue just do one more banger of an album that is true to what they're about. I know it can be done, man. Nikki Sixx just is a great writer, and he can get back to his roots. And you think sometimes, you know, when you're out there doing it and you're playing these songs, like you feel it, you think it'd be like in your blood, like you'd be able to produce something like this. But on the flip side, man, I'm going to use the classic example of Kiss coming off the reunion tour created the turd Psycho Circus. You know what I mean? So sometimes you think like, oh shit, man, original Kiss, and this is going to be so good, and it really wasn't good, and it didn't even have the original guys on it. So people can screw it up big time, and that could happen with a new Crue album. I'm also interested to see what we could do with John 5. Could John 5 bring an element to the band that was never there, or maybe kind of help them get back to their roots a little bit? So I'm just curious. Just one more kick-ass Motley Crue album. That's my wish.
Yeah, dude. If they could get back to the Primal Scream, Angela, Rock and Roll Junkie, and then fast forward to the New Tattoo era, which I like. They had some very true to form Hollywood endings, those kind of like, you know, Don't Go With Mad type songs, and Punched in the Teeth and stuff like that. So I think they could make it happen. I don't know if Tommy would let it happen. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's just a little too set in his new school chasing that, like, the current thing wave. And I think it would probably make the album suck.
Yeah, I'm with you. You got to cut all that shit out of there. You can't have any of that modern metal or rap metal. That can't be in there. It just can't.
No, dude. If you could get back to it, and like, you know, in the original Motley era, people really liked the direction they got to when they hit Primal Scream.
Yep.
Like that is a lot of Motley fans' favorite, and they definitely increased in their creativity and kind of their exploration, and they started getting a little harder, and Vince was a little bit more raspy versus squeaky, and it sounded killer, dude. And I think they could do that again and capture that magic, because those songs on the new songs from Decade are some of my favorites.
Yep.
Like I really, really like Angela and Rock and Roll Junkie, and of course Primal Scream. So if they could do that, and then even a little bit of the Saints of Los Angeles, the song, which I like.
That's a good song.
Like the song that I like on that album the most. No wonder it was a single. But if they could make it happen, I think they could, like you're saying, utilize the momentum they have right now, and it would probably be somewhat successful.
Yep. I agree, man. Well, we had some killer ideas. I really hope some of them happen. I think some of them very well may. I think some are a little far-fetched. That will not happen.
Yeah.
I'll be shocked if we see Vito Bratta crawl out of the gutters in 2023, man. But I welcome it with open arms. I hope it happens.
You know what, dude? For a lot of people that are fans of what we're fans of, I guarantee you that they feel the same way as us. And I'm telling you, dude, it may be a wish list for us, but these bands and these guys should probably pay attention and be like, God, is this really what they want? Okay, let's do it. It could make me some money.
It's interesting. You make an interesting point. I think some of them are out of touch with what the fans want. I really do.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely.
Well, hey, I appreciate you coming back tonight and finishing this thing up. I knew we had a killer vibe going, and I knew we could get right back into it, and we did. And we probably even came up with cooler shit than what we had last night. So
always fun, always a pleasure.
All right, buddy. Have a good night. Well, that was a fun one. I hope you enjoyed. Lots more cool episodes coming this year. Rocka!